Hello, I'm Nicola Foley, and this is the Let's Talk About podcast. Let's Talk About was created to highlight important issues and bring back the art of conversation, because everybody has a story to tell, right? Over the last year and a half, the pandemic has forced many people into sedentary lifestyles, turning to food for comfort. The impact this has had on physical and mental well-being is now only starting to fully emerge. So what can we do to help ourselves out of this situation? Today, I'm talking to personal trainer Steve Bonthrone about why being outside is good for our mental health, and also about Steve's methods for helping anyone achieve their fitness goals. Let's talk about exercise for mental well-being. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
So, can you tell us how you got into being a personal trainer and why you do it?
Okay, I got into become a personal trainer through back pain. I suffered some spasms in my back when I was about 26, and I was signed off work for 4 weeks and prescribed strong painkillers. And I thought it wasn't a solution for me. I thought it was something better out there. And my mum went through her life with back pain, and I didn't want that. I wanted something different. And I wasn't particularly fit at the time. And so I thought, this is a kick up the bum. I need to go and do something about my own health and fitness. And it just so happened that I was reading a magazine, and there was an article about the London Marathon entries being open. And I thought it was something I used to watch on telly, but I'd never really thought, actually, this was the kind of thing I would be able to do. So I just thought, you know what, this is a perfect target. I went and filled out the entry form, got the magazine, filled out the entry form and sent it off.
So from zero to London Marathon, you thought that was the perfect target?
Yes, very much so, because that was the thing that would get me out my comfort zone to go and do something. And literally, got in first time. So there's a magazine dropped through the letterbox in December, and the race was in April. So I phoned my mum and said, right, I'm going to be on the telly. And I says, I'm going to do the London Marathon, just look out for me next to the Wombles. And so, I mean, I started running with a couple of friends who had also got in, but it was nothing major. But it's when I ran, the crossing the finish line that day changed my life, because I had this amazing sense of achievement. You know, that's something I've never felt before. And I thought, you know what, I did it again the following year, you know, and I thought, actually, I want to help people go and do the things that they've always wanted to be able to do, that they never believed possible for them, because I've just done it. And I thought, well, if I can do this, anybody can. And so just a few months later, I went and inquired about a personal trainer's course, and then quit my job. And personal trainers at the time, this was the year 2000, weren't a big thing. So, but this is what I wanted to do. Yes, my life is about helping people find a way to, one is helping people achieve their goals, but then I started to learn how the body actually moves, and I was able to kind of resolve my own back problem, because I wanted to figure out what's going on and how do we solve it. Because drugs are one thing, but it's looking at more of the positive aspect. How can we stop this from happening again? So from going from, say, spasms every 3 or 4 months to once in the last 6 or 7 years, and that was just because I got lazy. And now I'm in a position, I'm fortunate to be able to help other people with back or other joint problems become more active, move better, and move away from pain and start to move towards where they want to be.
Yeah, I know you do that, but obviously you also do kind of, well, I think there's a knock-on effect, isn't there? Because if you sign up for a fitness course, then obviously that impacts your mental health. Because when I met you in 2018, I was in a really bad place, and I did the same as you, really. I just thought I need something really massive to kind of motivate me. So I'm like, I'm going to do a triathlon from sitting on my couch.
Yeah. So I came to you and just went, okay, I'm going to do a triathlon. And you were like, okay, we can do that. And I was like, what? Really? And I really didn't believe I could do it until I'd actually done it.
You know, my thought process, I mean, I was thinking about the whole concept of the marathon later, and it was more actually come when it was 2014, I signed up to do um, the 4 races in Edinburgh, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. There's 4 races in 2 days. And it was more chatting with some guys who had done it before. It's not a case of if I can do it, it's more a case of how I want to be able to do it. Because it never occurred to me at any point with the marathon that I couldn't do it. And it was more just, right, okay, what's the kind of experience I want to have? How do I want to be able to do this? And because this is how my mum, this is how she lived her life. If she couldn't find what she was looking for, she'd go and do it herself.
Right.
So do it her way. And it's more about then it's not looking for like a cookie cutter kind of thing of A to Z. It's like find your way of doing it. How would you want things to be? And then it's breaking that down, working back way to figure out the steps to go and make that happen.
So like when we worked together, you had an office, but we rarely stayed in it. We went outside quite a lot. Why do you take people outside? Why is that important?
I think actually being out in nature is much more. I think it's much more beneficial than just being inside 4 walls, because we spend the majority of our time inside 4 walls. It's actually being away, enjoying being in nature, the sights, the sounds, the other people who are there doing almost the same thing. You know, it's this is where I think you actually do something that's more practical, particularly for yourself and your own goals, which about doing a triathlon, you're not going to do that indoors. So you need to be outside because that's where you're going to do it. So it's more tapping into real life experience and thinking of is that connection with what you're about to do and how that makes you feel. That's different from saying doing a set of squats or doing a set of lunges or doing something with kind of little or no meaning to it.
I think because you've kind of touched on my next two questions there, which is about motivation, but also like accountability. So obviously you chose a marathon, I chose a triathlon, but what if you've got nothing to what if you don't want to do that? What if you just literally want to improve your mental health or you want to improve your physical health? How do you stay motivated? How do you get people to stay motivated?
Well, that's a good question, actually. And one, it's possible, maybe not necessarily easy to answer because everybody's different. Everybody's got their own something that's maybe important to them. Okay, even if it's just the smallest. I recognize the whole thing about the marathon, etc. But not everybody has that big goal, and the biggest thing could be just about how do you want to feel about yourself? What would be the first thing what's the thing that you could do that would make you feel good?
And that can
And
be
it's
tiny, right? That can be just getting off your couch every day, just literally for five
yes,
minutes. Tiny things.
yeah, get outside. I mean, I was speaking to before COVID came along, I was working with a lot of people who were working way too much and they're too busy doing lots of things, but put themselves at the bottom of the pile. And were mega stressed, and fitness exercise became something that they had to try and fit into the day. Okay, because it had to be a thing. Let's say fitness being a thing that they had to try and fit in. Same with like kind of healthy eating, etc. It's a thing that they have to do. Whereas I thought this is not sustainable, and it doesn't matter what I do with them because it's not going to make any difference.
Right.
What I was trying to coach them was put themselves first. What's important to them, and even little things like like going for a walk, getting outdoors. First thing could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and start to think of like what's one thing that you can do today. The beauty of that is it's the feeling that okay, bring it down to something simple. It could be just doing the dishes, doing the laundry, going cooking something. It's being creative. It's feeling like you're achieving something. And when you're outside, you're away from the normal sources of stress and anxiety. So you're away, you're outside in the fresh air, and your brain gets a chance to kind of just switch off, relax, go and think about something else. And that's where all the answers come from. And this is where you can start to think through, well, I want to be able to do this. Okay, cool. How do you want to be able to do it? Now, all it has to be, say, 5-10 minutes. That's enough. 10-15 minutes, that's enough. You could do it again, maybe at lunchtime, do it again, maybe in the afternoon. So it's just little and often can produce great results.
If you've got physical disabilities, sorry, my cat is attacking a fly in the window. If you've got like physical disabilities and stuff, because like I've got things wrong, as you know, with me, and I find that if I exercise, or especially with carpal tunnel and that, if I cut the grass, I can't do anything either for the rest of the day, or I know I won't be able to do anything tomorrow. So if you've got things like that, can you factor that in? Like, because some people think they can't do it because they're ill, and therefore, you know, they literally can't do anything. But you kind of tailor it to make it so that they can do something, don't you?
Yes, this is where it becomes I mean, one thing I've recognized is that a kind of one size fits all approach doesn't work. And so everything can be tailored to the individual. Now, if you could do something for say 5 minutes, and I work to the concept, rather than say on an exercise, rather than doing say sets and reps or time, it's doing it to fatigue, doing it to failure, where you're no longer able to do it as well as you did at the beginning. So it's focusing more on the quality of the exercise as much as the quantity.
Right.
And it's when you do it and it feels good, it feels comfortable, it feels enjoyable, yeah, this is something I can do. Sooner or later, yeah, you will tire. It's a bit like go out the door and start sprinting. You're going to tire eventually after about 50 meters or something, or whatever. Okay. But it's doing something until you feel, once you start to feel like you're not able to do it as well as you started, then stop. Go and do something else. Sit down, rest, go and have a drink. Just stand, go and sit outside. Then go and try it again, maybe a wee while later. So it could be, so what the exercises I prescribe could be things to do while you're standing making a cup of tea. It could be while you're brushing your teeth. Things to do, and do it every hour, do it every couple of hours, because it's more the frequency and the consistency of doing that plan that produces the best results.
Yeah, and that's quite clever, linking it with something like that, because then every time you go to make a cup of tea, you might just literally start doing it automatically and you won't even think about it.
Well, this is it, because I want to make things easy for people to do it on their terms. Yeah. So it's like, I'm at home, like, you know, somebody said, I've got to go to work, I've got this. And it's like, when do I fit this in? I think, well, what if we could break down, instead of a workout being an hour or 45 minutes or 30 minutes even, why not, if it was one exercise that took you 2 minutes? How would it be if that was all you did? Yeah. It's just getting started. Mm-hmm. And that's can often be the stumbling block, you know, because gosh, I've got to go to the gym, I've got to go and do a class, I've got to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fitness industry helps itself, because it promotes the results rather than the strategy to get there. And it's not about, you don't jump in at the deep end and be able to swim a mile like for a triathlon or etc. You've just got to get in and wade in and just see what happens.
I mean, that's like today's society again, though, isn't it? Everybody just wants everything now. It's just like bang, everything's fast paced, and everything's just like, I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do it next week. And it's like, well, that's not actually possible. You might have to put a bit of effort and time and work into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing of, it's a bit like, say, take the basics of sport. If you go and, let's say, to play tennis, for example, the first thing, you'll go and learn how to play tennis, how to hold the racket, how to hit a ball. And it'll just be the first day, it'll just be holding the racket and hitting the ball. Okay, it's just the skill of the sport. The next lesson might be something a little bit more complex, okay, maybe serving. So it's little things of the sport. Then as you develop, then you get fitter. Whereas fitness is about the other way is having the fitness first, having the super fitness, then adding the skill for what you want to do later.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the best thing is just, I would say start with something that feels good, then start to add in things something that you might enjoy. Now, could be something way more that you can't even comprehend right now, because you might get into hill walking. You never thought you would like hill walking, but you go out, you maybe try a wee hill and think, oh, this is brilliant. This is great. The things I see, the photos, it's actually then taking the camera, taking your phone, taking photos, something to remember the experience by. And it's because that's will instantly trigger positive memories of the experience that you had. You'll never forget that, because you pick that up and instantly you're going back to where you were. You remember exactly where you were and how it felt at the time to actually see that.
Yeah, that brings me on to a question that somebody asked me actually, and they said, in today's society, do you think there's too much emphasis on being the best at sports and what you're doing instead of just enjoying it?
I think yes. I don't know if this has been like a social media thing. And with coaching runners and beginners, I've seen a lot of people are obsessed with data. There's maybe too much data, because where you're looking at, so with the example of being runners on, let's say, doing couch to 5K, everything's about timed intervals, etc. So you're thinking about the time, but that program lasts 9 weeks. If you focus on how it feels, you could do it in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
More people become obsessed with almost split times, because this is what they see, the data of scales, even on a diet. If you're losing weight, you stand on the scales, you've eaten salads all week, you've eaten really, really good, you stand on the scales and you haven't lost an ounce, or you've gained a pound. How can that be? And how does that make you feel? It makes you feel terrible, Think, well, after all that hard work, but it's more about, and this is one of the things that marathon training taught me, is that it's not one day. You don't rock up and run a marathon. It's a process, so you have to go through this process in order to get trained to do triathlon, marathon.
And unless you're enjoying that, you won't stick with it, will you? You won't do it.
I think it's knowing what you're working towards, because the whole standard of, say, getting fit and losing weight is, they're both fairly vague terms, and you might, and the standard of what you want, let's say, to go and exercise. And this is what, I used to write this stuff in the gym, you come into the gym and you go and do a bit on the cross trainer or the treadmill, or you're going to do a bit of weights, and you do a bit of this and you do a bit of that. But that's it's a bit like walking around every aisle in the supermarket just to get a loaf of bread.
Right.
It's spreading way too thin, and and it might take a long time to get results. In fact, you might not get results, because one is, you don't know what getting fit means, because it means something different to you than it does to me or to the next person, etc.
Yeah.
So knowing specifically what you want, how you want to feel, what you want to be able to do. So what does fit mean to you? What is actually losing weight? Because effectively, what do you want to be able to do once you've lost weight? Because effectively, you could lose 2 stone and not be able to do anything any better than you do right now.
Right.
Why 2 stone? Why not 1 stone, 12 pounds? Why not, etc. So what are the things that you've got when it comes into the senses of what you want to be able to do, how you want to feel, what's the product going to look like that you're working towards?
Yeah.
Because once you have a clear picture, then you can start to make a path course to get towards that.
Yeah. So you've had quite a few clients, obviously, me included. And how would you say that your help has changed their lives, and in a mental way as well as a physical way? Because obviously, like you just said, if you're doing more activity and stuff, then you're going to change physically. How has it changed them in other ways that you've noticed?
I think it's like the feeling of having more energy, the feeling that they can do things they weren't able to do before. And it's not just about losing 2 stone or run a marathon. It's how it makes you feel. That's the difference. And when you see a difference in someone's the energy in their voice, the things that when they say, "Oh, I was able to do this," and being able to walk outdoors, this is a great thing. It's just that, almost like a carrot on the stick. It's just being able to encourage them to try things and see what happens. Go with an open mind and see what happens, because I believe you can't fail. Failure is a good way to learn, really. Okay, so
the only way to learn, isn't it? Really, it's the only way your brain actually needs to learn, because if you can do it, you don't need to learn it.
Well, this is it. I mean, I always try and say, encourage people to try something, because you'll soon find out if you can do it or not. Okay, and think of is the criteria is not yes or no. It's more of, okay, what would need to change in order to do it better next time? Now, if you go and try something and you don't get the outcome you want, you instantly know, you will know exactly what to do different next time. So, and then to get a better outcome, then you go and try that, then you learn, and you go and try. So there's always a learning, and use that as a failure could be your best friend, basically, because nobody does anything right first time. I mean, apart from me, I'm perfect.
I've still got you in my phone as Steve the slave driver. I was looking for you earlier to contact you, and I was like, I can't find it. And you'll never convince me that running's a good thing. That's not changed my mind. I've got loads of things I love doing now, and I love walking. I love hill walking and stuff, but running,
well,
no.
The thing is, it's I mean, running is do what you want to do, whatever feels good for you. So yeah, just because I run, I don't make everybody run. I don't make anybody run unless they specifically want to do it. It's not about that. It's more about doing the things that you want to do.
For some people, getting out of bed in the morning, because like before I met you, like in those like 2 or 3 years before that, I was in such a bad place and I didn't get off my couch. I literally got anxiety every time I tried to leave my couch. And so for me, if I managed to get off the couch and walk into the kitchen and make a coffee, that was massive.
Yes, because that's the thing. It's something that's got you off the sofa to do. And if you're doing that, so even a glass of water and going out every couple of hours to do it, then fantastic. That's the starting point. If one thing you do each day is make your bed, and if that's the only thing you do that day, you've still achieved something.
Yeah. I mean, it's challenging. Every day is a challenge for me. Even leaving my house is a challenge for me. But I think it's the fact that I acknowledge that now, and I've got things in place to kind of help. And, I go to certain places and do certain things. So it's easier having the mindset of you've done it before and you can do it again. And, but it's still, I'm not going to lie. It's, every single day is a struggle.
You're going to get that. Yes, things are going to be like that. But again, it's just having courage, learning, and how you would break that barrier down. What's the step you need to take that would help you move forward?
And that's what I'm doing. And I think it's allowing yourself as well, the fact to say, if I go 1 step forward and 3 back this week, then that's what I've done this week. And then next week I might take like 3 steps forward and 1 back, or I might not even take 1 back. It's just that acknowledgement of, it's not the be all and end all if things don't go right.
Even if you have that week where it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back, you're still taking that step forward.
Yeah.
Focus on that. Don't worry about let the other 3 things go. They're not important. They'll happen in time. They'll happen at the right time.
It's just you don't always realise, do you? When you're living it, when you're in your life and you're living it and everything's busy, you don't always realise what you are achieving until you look back on it. And people don't really reflect a lot. They don't do that.
Well, one of the things when I was suggesting to people when getting out for getting out for a walk in the morning concept to plan the day ahead, the next part was getting out for a walk in the evening, say about 9 o'clock or something, switch off the telly, the internet, yada, yada. Get outside, go for a walk and think, reflect on the day gone by. What did you do well? What was that one thing you did that you did it very well? What was good about it, etc. Break that down, because then it's celebrating that and think, right, okay, so how could I make tomorrow better? And go and plan that. So that way, you've got some answers. You can maybe come back. So you've got some ideas, in which case take a note, write a note, and then go and do it again, go and try again the next day and see what happens.
It's really important, isn't it? That's why sleep's important as well. It's because our brains are like computers and they're processing information. So if you don't ever like take stock of it and process it, then you're never going to be able to like change anything really.
Well, this is the thing, and its importance for, I mean, any kind of, let's say, getting fit or losing weight. Sleep is important because, I mean, when was the last time you had a good workout or ate a salad, craved a salad when you're tired or stressed, you know? So it's mostly just going...
crave a salad when I'm not.
Well...
I've never craved a salad in my life. Chocolate, maybe.
So it's more about being able to switch off, let's say, telly, internet, etc. All these things, the technology earlier, give yourself time to, let's go for a walk, listen to some music, meditate, stretch, whatever, okay? Whatever is important to you, is meaningful to you, that helps your brain switch off, unwind, relax, etc. So that would help you get a decent night's sleep.
I think there's something actually that you did for me that was really, really important. I am in a unique situation. Not only have I got kind of things wrong with me, but obviously I've got two boys with sort of autism and stuff and things wrong with them. And so I'm in a situation where I can't do that. I can't switch my, well, I can switch my telly off, but I can't just go for a walk outside. I've got commitments and things that mean I'm in a certain situation. And I think people that are in those situations, like maybe some of my friends in that, think they can't do any of this, they can't exercise in that. But I literally will go in my garden for like 5 or 10 minutes every hour. I make myself do that because once I get into the flow, I won't stop. But now, because like of the stuff you taught me, I'm like, no, I need to stop and I need to shift my headspace and shift my body and just, you know, because it helps. So I might not be able to leave my house. I might be like in a prison in a sense, but I can still do stuff.
No, not at all. No, it doesn't have to be a walk anywhere. As you say, it could be step out into the garden. I mean, I always find, let's say, if I'm writing something, writing content for the website or blog posts, whatever, and I get stuck, and you can't think of the answer or something, then that's the time to take a break, go outside, get some fresh air, have a glass of water, just think of nothing, then all of a sudden the answers come to you. Mm-hmm. So it's just doing that, something that breaks the chain, breaks the cycle. So as you say, stand out in the garden, stand outside, even if it's on the doorstep or something. It's not important. Just get that's time for you.
I think a lot of parents, when they're carers and, you know, they're in stressful situations or they're in really bad relationships or whatever, I don't even know what it is, because I've been in that situation. I don't know if you don't feel worthy of time for yourself or you just feel selfish, or I don't even know what it is, but wherever that comes from, you've got to try and get out of that headset and do, doesn't matter what it is, but something for you.
I think it's natural for everybody to kind of look after everybody else, is caring for others, etc. But being selfish, having time for yourself isn't selfish.
No.
In order to help others better, you have to help yourself first, which sounds like an incredibly selfish point of view. But it's not. It's more about, okay, we'll do the things that energize you.
I think as well, a lot of parents are like, I can't do stuff because of the kids, but I then included my kids in it. You know, like I found out my son really likes golf, he really likes tennis, you know, so I started doing that. So sometimes it's about meeting people halfway as well, isn't it? And doing what they enjoy, even if you don't necessarily like some of that stuff to start with.
Well, I mean, exercise, this is a thing of how, let's say, how exercise is defined. Okay, so you could probably think it's a gym workout or it's a sport or anything like that, but it's not really. You could go and play with the kids, go and have a wee kickabout or something, or do some form of activity with the kids. Be up, get moving, anything that requires movement, and as I say, do it all with the kids or walk the dog or whatever. Yeah. And then it's inclusive, everybody's involved, and it's a shared experience.
Yeah.
That the kids will come to appreciate, and as they get older.
And sometimes they talk to you as well. Like if you're having problems communicating with, I mean, I've got a teenager at the moment and lots of my friends have, and you know, if you can't communicate with them, but you find something you can do together, they'll just start talking sometimes, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Because you know, you ask them like, is there anything wrong? What's wrong? And they don't tell you, but all of a sudden, all this information's coming out. You're like, whoa.
Yes, because it's the same thing where you've got that kind of as you described, say the prison, you know, the four walls, etc. It's the same for them.
Yeah.
So being outdoors, sun in the garden, they might feel more relaxed and at ease to talk about things that they wouldn't feel comfortable talking about indoors, as you do yourself, you know?
Basically,
So,
get outside, exercise. That's the key message
yes,
from this
yes.
podcast.
Get outdoors and yeah, it'll change your life.
Yeah. Oh, I can't think of a better ending than that. So thank you very much.
No, it's been a pleasure.
I am not my illness. I'm so much more than that. I am not my illness. It's just a type of hat. I am not my illness. Some days I wear it well. I am not my illness. Some days you just can't tell. Some days my hat's upon my head for everyone to see. Some days it's hiding in my bag, alone, just it and me. I never try and hide it, but it's invisible to most. The days when it's really bad, I lie in bed and just eat toast. I am not my illness. My illness isn't me. Some days I even take off my hat. That's how brave I can be. I am not my illness. I am so much more than that. So try and see the real me, not just my silly hat.
This podcast was brought to you by Nicola Foley and Buzzsprout. Music by Zapsplat and Adobe. Poem, I Am Not My Illness, read by Zoe Bailey. Thanks to my special guest today, Steve Bonthrone.